This is the Ottawa Senators Outlook. Here is your host, Jack Henry.
Hello everybody, welcome to the Ottawa Senators Outlook. I'm your host, Jack. This is my quick recap for the Sabres and Islanders games together, so let's get right to it. So, both games ended up in losses for the Senators, and let's get right to it again, like I said. So, the Sabres game, we lose 5-1 on Tuesday night. The first goal in the first period was scored by J.J. Peterka. He could have been a Senator, and that's all that happened in the first period, so it's 1-0 Buffalo. And then Bowen Byram scores literally 17 seconds in to make it 2-0 Buffalo, and then really Greg cuts the lead in half for Ottawa. So after 40 minutes, it is 2-1 Buffalo. 21 seconds in, Bowen Byram scores the second of the game to make it 3-0. 16 seconds later, it's Tage Thompson to make it 4-1. And then Peterka on the power play to make it 5-1, and there is your final. So 5-1 in favor of the Buffalo Sabres. The goaltending matchup was Linus Ullmark versus Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, and this was legitimately like the first game that the Senators in a loss looked flat since the Montreal Canadiens game, which was the second game of the season and literally like a month ago. So we looked really flat in this game, and there was pretty much no excuse for it. So we're sitting at 6-6 after this one, and now we go to the Islanders game, which was on Thursday night, and we lost that one as well by a final score of 4-2. Nothing happens in the first period. Anders Lee scores to make it 1-0 Islanders, followed up by Jean-Gabriel Pageau, former Senator, to make it 2-0, and then that's all that happened in the second. So after 40 minutes, it is 2-0 Islanders. And then Oliver Wahlstrom, of all people, of all New York Islanders, it's Oliver Wahlstrom to make it 3-0. And then Nick Jensen scores his first with the Senators, and that was assisted by Thomas Chabot. So both those guys have had a bit of chemistry together. Anyways, Nick Jensen makes it 3-1 Islanders, and then Drake Batherson on the power play 7 minutes later, and all of a sudden, we're back in this one. But with 10 seconds left, Bo Horvat scores the empty netter. Islanders put this one to bed 4-2 final score. The goaltending matchup in this one was Semyon Varlamov versus Anton Forsberg. Forsberg, again, he looked all right, but it just wasn't enough. And the Islanders play very, very boring hockey, to be quite honest with you, and they've had a ton of problems being able to put it in the back of the net, and all of a sudden they were able to knock down 4 against the Senators. So, again, these games have just been pretty uninspiring for the Senators. They've really struggled in them, and all of a sudden now we're sitting at 6-7, 7th in the division. There is a bit of ground to make up. It's possible that we do, but we need to start racking up wins like we were earlier in the year. And I'll just start off in saying, like, a couple things. First off, the players need to be held accountable because this has been pretty inexcusable, and it just has to change. It really does. So we lost 2 in a row, and I will say this too. Artem Zub is back in the lineup, so he's obviously with Jake Sanderson, Chabot, and Jensen. I've never been critical of Travis Green so far this season, and I actually think he's been doing quite a decent job. I know there's a lot of people that are like, oh, it's the same thing, it's his fault, whatever. At this point, you got to blame the players because, again, this has just been pretty awful for the Senators. But I just don't understand the love for Travis Hamonic anymore. Obviously, he had a pretty struggling season last year, and he's looking just about the same this year. You have a guy like Jacob Nard-Docker, who, don't get me wrong, I'm not a big fan of Jacob Nard-Docker, to be quite honest with you, but give credit where it's due. He's been playing pretty good with Tyler Kleven when Artem Zub was injured, and Jake Sanderson has been struggling too as of late. Some of it because he's been playing with Travis Hamonic, but at the same time, Sanderson does have to figure it out a little bit too. But my point is, I look at that bottom pair, Jacob Nard-Docker with Tyler Kleven, and I saw how good it was working together. Why would you break that up with Travis Hamonic, who has been holding Tyler Kleven back for the most part? Again, I don't know what Travis Green, I think this is like an old school mentality, like having a veteran don't have 2 young guys together. But this is a different league now, and it's been that for the last like almost 10 years. So, I don't know, if things are working, I would stick with it. If, you know what they say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's what Travis Green really has to do here. I do think some of his lineup combinations are a little bit questionable, but other than that, I mean, I would say he's doing a decent job, but again, you got to see who's clicking in the lineup, and obviously Travis Hamonic has been a weak link on the blue line for the majority of the season, even though his stats don't look as bad as his play. So, those are just my 2 cents. Sens got to figure it out. They have a game against the Boston Bruins. We'll see what happens in that one, but like I said, 6 and 7 on the year, 7th in the Atlantic Division. It ain't gonna cut it. So we need to figure out a way to win games because the schedule is only gonna get rougher from here. I'm not gonna be overly angry of it because it's only 13 games in the year, but this can't be a continuation of what's been the last 5 years. So those are just my 2 cents. Give me your thoughts on these last 2 games. And tomorrow I'll be coming out with a recap for the Bruins game, so be on the lookout for that. But for now, this is Jack in the Upstairs Outlook, and go Sens go.
Thank you for watching this presentation of the Ottawa Senators Outlook. For more of this podcast, click on the videos on the left and subscribe by clicking on the icon on the right. Thank you.